here! What's up, Nimrods? Woo!
Welcome back!
My neighbors are gonna hate me. I just moved in.
I like how I got covered in...
I got a few pieces. This is gonna be a pain to clean up.
We can't get out of the editing. We struggled to do it. Just...
Oh, all that is staying in.
That's fucking hilarious. Ladies and gentlemen.
We are in person.
Oh my god.
And not like temporarily in person. Like we're in person. Like this is the studio. Well, this is the wall.
Vaguely.
So, okay. It's been a hell of a day.
It's been a roller coaster of emotions from we're going to cry because of our first in-person podcast to I'm going to kill myself because of our first in-person podcast. So
yeah,
roller coaster of emotions.
As you can see, Carson is not on the correct microphone right now. He is on my old podcast. He still drinks it. Yeah, Carson is not on the right microphone right now. Because today has been one hell of a day. We're not gonna go with this double camera setup most likely going forward either. This is a temporary solution to a problem that we tried to solve for the past 2 hours. Next week we should actually properly have a setup for our podcast. And what I mean by that is we'll both be on the proper microphone because I will actually remember the interface connection to the audio import to the PC, unlike today. And we will also probably have art on the wall, and we'll most likely have the dual camera setup like you see in most popular podcasts nowadays.
You might see more things like the one-piece noodle cup and the 4 years up and old.
These might be items that rotate. We don't know yet. We have no idea. We're kind of winging it today. There's even tape on the tape. Like it's been a day. It really has been.
It's been interesting to say the least. That's for sure.
Yeah, but Carson, we did it.
We're here, man.
We're here. It's been a year and a half, and I can physically look at you with a podcast microphone in my hand that I'm going to move slightly to be in front of my face.
Gone are the days of just rage-inducing, yelling at each other because Trinary sucks. Now you can actually jump over the table and murder me for saying that.
Correct.
Live and in person.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, this is surreal.
It's cool.
Because I feel like, no offense to any time we've recorded in person in the past, it never really felt real. Like, it never felt like a podcast. Yeah. Because, we're two best friends that, we're chilling on the sofa chatting, but the quality was terrible. We were, last time we had our janky microphones with our arms set up. Now I have, the actual podcast microphone stands. Granted, you still don't have the proper mic, but you will.
It's sitting right there.
It's literally sitting right off camera.
Right
we have lighting as well, actual lighting, so it's not going to be inconsistent as fuck like it has been in the past.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. This is a dream come true for us, and
this is genuinely a monumental moment
for both of us.
Yeah,
but even we still didn't even acknowledge just even me walking to the apartment today and just you being here.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, no, literally, this is Carson's first time in my apartment. Well, granted, it's been a few hours. We watched House of the Dragon together. We still don't technically know each other's thoughts, but come on, it's
House of the Dragon.
It's the finale of House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
And we're gonna start out with that anyway. So we'll. Do you want to talk about the one thing that I had brought up previously?
I mean, we can. It's up to you.
Yeah, I don't have my phone. I wish I did. I put it over there, and your phone's over there as well. Yeah. We should have thought about that before we hit record, but we're not.
Well, part of the other issue is that our phone. Let's run you through the whole course of today, and this can be the cold open, I guess. We tested out the new camera setup. We got perfect angles, and it actually looked fantastic. And we already started the ideas of what the background's gonna look like, what things we can have on the wall, and this and that, and it looked great. And then, unfortunately, because the world is cruel and we can't get anything, the way we want it to be. Our phones overheated, they started dying, and we accidentally left the recording for about an hour and a half. It just kept going.
So we did a test recording, got everything lined up absolutely perfectly. It looked beautiful. The quality was good. And then we were like, okay, cool. We got everything set up. We're going to go watch House of the Dragon. Yeah, unfortunately, what we forgot to do when we watched House of the Dragon was turn off the test recording. Yeah, and an episode of House of the Dragon is not short. We did learn the maximum capacity of the batteries of our phones, though.
Very good.
Yeah, we'll be able to record this for probably, if Carson's phone was at 100% when we started, probably upwards of 3 hours, which is around our longest episode. I think our longest episode was our brand new day review, and it was it was like 3:15 after I cut some stuff.
Roughly.
Yeah.
But it also teaches us the lesson of, hey, if we really want to record things individually and then just kind of stitch it together later on, now we know we can.
Yeah, one thing that we've discussed, and I don't remember if we've said this on the podcast before, but that we're looking at doing is kind of like how you've seen on the Escape Pod, but other podcasts where it's like, sometimes it's difficult to get in person for certain things. Like this week, we're recording this on a Wednesday. We're recording this very early comparatively to when we typically do, so we don't have a movie to talk about. That's mainly because Carson's flying to a charity concert, so bygones be bygones. But especially with stuff like Lanterns coming out on Sundays, there's a chance that what we'll do is watch the episodes, record them early, and then they won't release early, but they'll be kind of like stitched together a little bit. It might not be one continuous recording. We haven't done that yet. This is going to be one episode with both House of the Dragon finale and X-Men 97 finale, so you'll get that this week.
We're working on some ideas in the background. This is very much another rebuilding type of process.
Yeah, this episode marks the beginning of a complete rebrand and restructure for, I think, pretty much the entirety of the Nerdy Nimrods. Like, I don't think it's going to, we're still going to do the podcast. It's not going to, fundamentally change that, but I think the way that we think about it and the way that we go about everything is going to start changing a lot in a positive way.
It's just
in a positive way.
It is a process, and we're all trying to figure it out, and we're excited to have you on this journey with us.
We've been doing this for, a year and a half now, I think. We discussed that last week. It's just slightly over under a year and a half. And I think now that we're finally in person, we have a studio, we can meet together and actually physically sit down and make plans.
Yes.
You're going to see a lot of things change. Again, all for the better. Sometimes maybe not, but we'll learn and we'll grow, but we're actually able to lock in and get this thing off the ground, because I think both of us want to do something with this, and it's difficult to do that when you're 5 states apart. Yeah. And I can't slap you in the face. I didn't just slap you because I didn't want to be mean.
I also don't think you could have reached all across the table. Let's be honest.
To be honest. Oh, wait, no, I can't, because this folds down, actually, so I can move closer and slap you, but I'm not going to do that. Yeah. Oh, yeah, make a mess on my floor. Luckily, the vacuum cleaner's right in there. We have a bathroom in this studio, Carson.
That's the best part, is the bathrooms in the studio, so...
I also love that we're calling this a studio, as if my bed that I sleep on isn't one door away.
Cut to a photo in whatever short. It's like the most jank setup you've ever seen in your entire life.
I might actually legitimately take a photo of how janky this room is and cut that into the recording.
Wires and just if this was a studio, first off, I'd gaff a lot of this already down, even though it's carpet.
Oh, yeah. Well, because again, we actually do legitimately have stuff that's going to be properly set up for a studio, but because we had the microphone mishap, it is not
the microphone mishap, the camera mishap. It just became let's just do it and just do it how we want. But again, this is not the worst setup in the world.
No. I'm actually I'm looking at this now, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm really happy with it. As many shortcomings and problems as we've had today. Yeah.
Love you.
Love you too. So, X-Men casting.
Yeah.
This weekend, unfortunately, again, and actually, we've discussed this, and I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there to hold us accountable. There is a chance that we do end up recording another episode on Monday that will go up. The main reason isn't just because we don't have a movie, and we both really do actually want to talk about the end of Oak Street. It's also because D23 is this weekend. Yeah. It literally starts, I think, what's today? Wednesday? It starts in 2 days, and we are anticipating a pretty big showing from Marvel and Disney in general. Disney in general shows up for D23. That's where we got a lot of big announcements, and I think with all the big running one right now is the X-Men casting. Now, we can talk a little bit about that. We have Sigourney Weaver basically confirmed as Emma Frost.
You mean Samara Weaving?
Oh, Samara Weaving. Thank you. Sigourney Weaver is different.
In her 70s.
Yeah. I don't know why I said Sigourney Weaver. See, this is the type of bullshit that we're gonna. Yeah.
No, but okay. So we got some of these castings, and I touched on this last week a little bit.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go into it because we didn't get a chance to talk about Spider-Man yet, but we actually had dropped the idea that, because not CinemaCon,
San Diego
San
Comic
Diego
Con.
Comic
Yeah.
Con had just happened. We were sitting there going, okay, well, it was a little disappointing. We got Ghost Rider and we got this and that, but we were really expecting the X-Men, or we wanted the X-Men.
Yeah.
In hindsight, and even prior, because we all knew the world's worst kept secret, spoilers for No Way Home or Brand New Day, Jean Grey is Sadie Sink.
And once you open the Jean Grey floodgates,
now you
it's...
can open. Well, now you can talk about the X-Men. Now you can open the casting.
Well, because it literally wasn't until... obviously the Jean Grey rumor with Sadie Sink has been going around since people found out that Sadie Sink was going to be in the movie. Right. That's been going around for like a year and a half at this point.
Right.
But that was the only even rumor up until that point. And then it wasn't until I feel like really the week of or week after Brand New Day came out, it was a flood of casting rumors, confirmations. You have your Emma Snow, you have your Mystique, maybe being Indy Navarrete. I think that's the running one right now.
That's what
Indy Navarrete for Mystique.
That's what I heard. And look, truth be told, that's one of those castings where you saw Obsession just shot her into stardom for that.
Correct.
With my heart of hearts, she's going to be great in that role.
Oh,
she's casting that role. Never in a million years would I've ever expected her to play that role.
Well, no, she was basically an unknown until then. But the second, Marvel does a really good job with taking young and new talent and scooping them up immediately and putting them in 15-year contracts.
Well, and you look at Superman and Lois, because that's the only other thing she's really known from other than Obsession.
Correct.
Superman and Lois.
Correct. And it wasn't she was a decent sized role in there, but she wasn't a leading role or anything like that.
She was a supporting character.
She was a supporting recurring role.
Right. So the fact that Obsession launched her into stardom and got her where she
deservedly so as well. She's an incredible actress.
Just pretty good. I mean, Kit Connor is the running rumor for Cyclops.
No, he's confirmed.
Oh, he is?
He is confirmed, yes.
Okay.
Well, okay, so I guess that's the fun thing that we can talk about as well is Emma Frost casting is confirmed. And Kit Connor is confirmed. But I think the problem is Disney hasn't said, on an Instagram post, these are your X-Men. However, when the actual official news is reporting on it, they are saying confirmed. So that's, I think, where it does get technically a little dicey where we talk about this in terms of confirmed is... If you really want to get technical about it, until Disney makes a post about it or talks about it at D23, I would not consider it 100% solid confirmed.
No.
But it does go beyond a rumor because you have official media outlets saying, Discussing Film. Discussing Film is one of the most reputable news outlets that there is for nerddom. He said cast confirmed, basically, for Kit Connor. Yeah. So that's where it's Disney hasn't said it yet, officially, not that I've seen, but if Discussing Film is posting about it, I would lean, in saying confirmed, I'd lean on the side of, that's probably what's happening.
I mean, yeah. But we also had reports that Adam Driver was also going to be Magneto, and we're pretty sure.
But that was never confirmed. That was always a rumor.
The guy who they were reporting as Beast, I read just earlier today that he turned down the role.
That again, that's where it gets that was basically pretty heavily rumored, and then
So here's the thing. I don't know if that's the sole reason they wouldn't announce X-Men at D23. It could very well be, I guess.
I guess that is the difficult thing is they need to speed run these contracts getting finalized because once they sign the contracts, then it's a little bit more locked in, but they need to get them signed. And I've actually heard before, and I'm curious to see if this is what happens. I've legitimately heard that there have been contracts signed day of announcements for San Diego Comic-Con before. So I'm curious to see if we run into a same scenario with some of these X-Men where it's literally a day of the announcement. We're getting freaking Kit Connor is signed. I mean, I would assume Kit Connor because of he's probably already signed. But talking about Indy Navarrete technically isn't confirmed yet. That hasn't been announced as confirmed. So I could see that being she's at D23 signing the contract in the back and then walking out on stage, basically.
Well, you have, Marvel, Disney, they're not the only ones to probably do stuff like that. I know WWE does that all the time. Last September, we had somebody return known as, I know you don't know it, AJ Lee, who is a long-standing legacy WWE wrestler who left the company for mental health reasons and came back, signed her contract. I think it was like 30 minutes before she actually was supposed to go out, but they already had like merch and things and all these things lined up. If she didn't decide to sign that contract that day, they would have been out so much money. So that's like the risks that you run with it. But at that point, it's like, okay, it's pretty much a sure done thing, even if they haven't signed the contracts.
Yeah.
There's very little at that point.
Kind of like the word of mouth, shaking of hands type
maybe,
of situation.
Maybe like letter of intent.
Yeah.
Just things like that, kind of.
Well, because again, like they're probably in the state right now where I almost guarantee you they've offered the role to everyone. Like everyone that they want to play an X-Men, your Nightcrawler, Adam Driver is now heavily rumored to, from going from Magneto to Mr. Sinister. Yes. That's, I think, honestly more confirmed than the rumor that was Magneto.
And I like that more in a lot of ways.
I don't know, because I guess it depends on how involved Mr. Sinister is going to be. I mean, he is, if you want to go down the gambit of important X-Men villains, you have Apocalypse, you have Mr. Sinister, and you have the Sentinels and racism.
You know,
actually, I'd probably say racism, Apocalypse, Mr. Sinister.
If we're talking about dream castings for people to play certain X-Men characters, I really want Oscar Isaac to play Apocalypse.
So that's been another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods.
I just think that is
sure.
And I think we need to give him the most generic villain writing.
Yeah.
With the most lackluster CGI.
Yeah.
To really prove the point that this is the big bad of the X-Men universe, even more so than Magneto's ever been. I
think we've proven with this week that Marvel definitely knows how to write Apocalypse as a really good. Yeah, we'll talk about that later. Yeah. Anyways, no, I'm excited for the X-Men casting. I think. Serious question. Do you think we're actually getting it this week?
I think we'll get it this week.
Okay, because D23, if you look at it historically, is typically more focused on the television shows because Disney Plus. Now, I think I would legitimately put money on this, 100% guaranteed, that we'll also talk about if we record when we record on Monday. Vision Quest trailer. Vision Quest drops in less than 2 months, Carson.
Yeah.
Vision Quest legitimately drops in less than 2 months. I think it drops in less than a month, or in like a month and a half or less.
I would expect Vision Quest, but that being said, when you also look at something like Wonder Man, where they didn't drop a single trailer until I think it was 3 weeks prior to the show coming out.
They did not drop the trailer until about because they announced the delay at the same time they dropped the trailer thereabouts, right? Because they delayed it.
I remember Wonder Man not getting really any promotion until like a few weeks prior to it coming out, which was the whole sole reason why I was
because if I remember correctly, they delayed it at D23 last year. Because it was supposed to come out last year, and they delayed it at D23, and then I think it was, which would have been around this time, and then they dropped a trailer, because Wonder Man dropped in January, right? Was it January?
No, I remember what it was. Yeah. I remember what it was. They delayed it, they dropped the trailer, and I actually remember sitting in the podcast telling you that I think the show is going to be horrible because they're dropping it in the graveyard of film and television
I remember that going back and forth. Yeah, we had that discussion where you were pretty convinced that it was going to be terrible, and it's probably one of, if not the best live action MCU show that they've made. So
right now, it is the best Marvel television series that they've ever done.
Above X-Men 97?
It's above that.
Are you
It's above X-Men 97.
I'm assuming you're saying that because of season 2? Or if you're including season 2 in that?
Are we getting started?
Who's hosting this week?
It's you.
Oh, it is?
It is.
Oh, well. Are we getting started? I don't know. Because what's up, Nimrods? It's your boys back with another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast. The only podcast on the internet where your two favorite Nimrods talk all things nerdy. I'm your host for today's episode, Brandon, a.k.a. Parrotfish, here with my forever co-host,
Carson, a.k.a. Juggernaut.
And on today's episode, we are talking about House of the Dragon season finale, season 3, episode 8, and X-Men 97 season finale, so X-Men 97 season 2, episode 9. Yeah. What? Are you getting teary-eyed?
No.
Or are you just kind of dreading talking about
I'm dreading talking about 97.
we're supposed to start with House of the Dragon, but do you kind of just want to get into X-Men
I
97
would rather
first?
get into 97 first.
I honestly kind of would as well. I think we try to keep this in a general order, but I'm going to be honest, I'd rather talk about X-Men 97 than House of the Dragon. That is not a talk on the quality whatsoever.
No.
It's just what I have a lot to say about both, actually.
Yeah.
But I think...
Let's start with 97.
Yeah. But before we do that, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah. Look at this. Watch this. No CGI. That's a physical handshake.
Harry Potter, I can touch you. Yeah, I love the corny jokes here live and in person. No, I'm good. Preparing for a very long weekend. I'm traveling to Indianapolis and then driving a few hours into Illinois to do a benefit concert with some friends of mine. It's going to be a very long, hard-working weekend, but we're very excited to have some fun and just give a small town a really nice benefit concert. Raising money for a nice cause. So that's good.
Yeah. I just moved. It's been a hell of a week. It's been very stressful past few days, past week, past month, past 2 months, past 3 months. Now that I'm in person, it feels weird. I keep feeling the tears like tickling the back of my eyeballs. I'm surprised I haven't cried yet. I might cry at the outro of this because it genuinely, like, moving down to Florida and that, like, this has been a big thing for me. And it's not only like being in Florida, it is genuinely the fact that, like, I don't think I've legitimately looked forward to something more. I'm gonna cry now. I'm gonna cry more. I genuinely have not looked forward to something more in the recent days. Like, I love this podcast so much. I love Carson so much. I love doing this so much. And now actually being able to, like, physically do this in person and kind of ramp it, like, I could not be more excited to kick this into the new year. And I'm so upset that this is what we have to talk about, to be honest with you. I really wish. No, I'm not, though. Like, let's be serious. Let's actually be serious. I know we don't have a movie, which is fine, but having 2 season finales that I think we genuinely have so much to say about, because not only are we going to talk about the season finales, but also, like, the seasons as a whole, it's going to be interesting.
Well, okay, let's just start this, and I'll go first. This is great.
Let's look at the camera when we do these. This is going to be difficult, but we give your Carson. Are you ready to get... Oh, actually, wait, sorry. I'm glad I remembered to do this. Spoiler warning for both House of the Dragon and X-Men 97. We do not do non-spoiler review sections. If you have not watched X-Men 97 season finale or House of the Dragon season finale, I'd recommend you skip those sections. Those are the only 2 things we will be talking about. We have no non-spoiler sections, so this is your one and only warning. Carson, go ahead and kick us into your review of X-Men 97 season finale.
Yeah, so I was looking forward coming into season 2. Season 1 was one of my favorite things that I think Marvel had possibly ever done, being an X-Men fan and just getting to see this world again. Kind of really reminiscing in the original 90s show, just so beautifully well. Season 1 left me on such a high note, and then literally leaving us off with the promise of apocalypse. And for the first 4 episodes of this season, I was really into it. And then, Brandon, just call me a prophet. I was right about everything about the track this episode that the show was going to go on, because I'm not going to say drop the ball. I don't hate this season and I don't hate this episode. There's a lot to love within this season and this episode, but boy, howdy, did they take the most generic ass way out of an apocalypse ending season. This was in every way I feared, the way I expected this show to end. And I did not want the way for this show to end to be the way that I expected it. The animation's fantastic here. It's stellar. I still prefer it to, something like a Marvel Zombies, and I liked Marvel Zombies a lot, but like even more than like the other shows, and even more than all the other animated shows that Marvel and Disney has done so far, this is still my favorite. I want to strangle somebody at Marvel, though. What in your right mind made you think, yes, this is the route we need to take our show? Give everybody blue balls after what is some of the most incredible writing that we've gotten from Marvel in a while, especially with X-Men 97, with the first 4 episodes, and then just drop off a cliff. I loved the episode with Wolverine. It was meandering and pointless, but I loved it. Also because I just love Wolverine as a character. He's my favorite superhero of all time. I liked the episode with Nightcrawler. I did like what they did with Polaris. Were all those episodes pointless? Absolutely, because it wasn't until the very last episode that we got any continuation in the Apocalypse story, and then they fucking drop the ball because they bring back Gambit. And I was even more than you. I was on the side in the idea that, okay, I like Gambit as a character. They can bring him back at some point. I am in the belief that when you're in a superhero world, no one's ever truly dead. There's always a way out of it. And I'm okay with you doing that. But you brought him back not even really a whole season after he was killed off. And then you literally bring him back in the most generic way possible through the power of friendship and sacrifice. And it was just dumb. And I don't like it. There's nothing really to get like super angry. I guess it's fine. Like the animation's good. The writing itself is fine, but they just took the most generic way out of writing what was at one point, I feel like, a show that, was actually a little bit unpredictable at times and very engaging. But yeah, this was definitely a massive disappointment on my part at the very least.
Yeah, fair enough. X-Men 97 Season 2 kind of sucks. It is amazingly well animated with some fantastic episodes, but I'm sorry, I've seen people calling this a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10. It's not. Look, these episodes are great. I love the Wolverine episode. I love the Polaris episode. You need to connect everything, and I was worried at the end of last episode where it really felt like we were kind of running to the finish line. We brought back Gambit, and oh my God, he's back. Oh, well, he's back in the hospital now, so maybe they're going to do something. Maybe he's not going to come back next episode. No, he's back, and now he's fully back, and Nightcrawler's dead. But did we mourn Nightcrawler? Did we care that Nightcrawler died? No. And can I trust that Nightcrawler's going to stay dead? Not really. Can I trust that Magneto's gonna stay dead? Not really. Why am I did not cry whatsoever when Gambit died. I did not even feel emotional when I love Gambit. Gambit is such a cool character. His religious background and his just morals and everything are just so cool. You don't have a funeral for the one religious character? You don't honor him in any way? You just move on and look happy and chill under this. No, Beast looked sad. That's all we get. That's all we get. No honor of his sacrifice. No, nothing. This man just gave up his life with no need for thanks, no need for anything. They don't even honor his sacrifice. They don't give any shits at all. And then, mind you, this is all because Rogue decides to go and challenge a Celestial who, booming voice, giant presence, being like, you are messing with things you cannot understand that are so powerful, and it's the dynamics of the universe. And Rogue literally goes, but I love him. And then the Celestial's like, sorry, I didn't realize you loved him. Just die and we'll bring him back. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you actually That's how we defeat Apocalypse? Apocalypse is Rogue just has to go and say she loves Gambit, and the Celestials are like, you know what? I didn't realize you loved him. Oopsie poopsie. Lame. So utterly lame. Apocalypse came into this season, kills Magneto, mind you. One of the most epic introductions, 3-4 episode introductions to a villain. Some better than season 1 introduction for their main villain. Now, I still put season 1 well over in the start, even than the start of this. Now, absolutely when it's concluded. But the introduction of Apocalypse, they nailed. And then they threw it away. And they wasted it. And this season sucks because of it. I'm sorry. You can have great episodes. And they do have great episodes. But you fumbled one of the most important villains in X-Men. And you fumbled one of the best, most beloved characters. Gambit is dead. Is he actually dead? Is he gonna come back? Who fucking knows? Who fucking cares? Fucking the X-Men don't. The X-Men don't care that he's dead. He died and no one cared. What are we doing here? Legitimately, what are we doing here? I cannot believe that they did that. I can't. I want to talk. That's the end of my review. I'm actually, the more I talk about this episode, legitimately, the more pissed off I get. Because you killed off one of the most beloved X-Men, and no one cared. No one fucking cared. Beast looked a little sad.
It's not even just that nobody cared. It's the fact that you don't even take time to show anybody caring except for Beast. And there's no build to this either, mind you.
No, it's just so... This entire episode needed to be 3 episodes long.
It would have made more sense for anybody else, I think, other than Nightcrawler to sacrifice himself for Rogue.
I disagree with that because they're siblings.
Oh,
I think it makes sense because they're half siblings.
Okay, that's true. That being said, like there's no build to it, so you don't ever feel the connection at all when you're even in this moment.
No, you don't. Like I understand now why you. Okay, here's the thing. Let's backtrack now. This is what we can do. You gave Nightcrawler an episode to make you feel more attached to Nightcrawler, to make you care a little more when he dies. That's very clearly, retrospectively, what they did.
Sure.
Wolverine? Why did he... I thought that the Wolverine episode might be... The whole justification for that was maybe they're setting up something. Something between Morph and Morph, maybe. Him and Morph, maybe his morals, maybe something. We saw Wolverine maybe 5 seconds this episode, only fighting, and that was it. And you set up X-Corp, mind you, and then blow the building up. And now the X-Corp is gone. What was the point of that? Oh, and then you set up our main villain lady, and now Mystique killed her. I don't have any problem with that. I actually do like that for a setup for the next season. I do feel like the setup for next season was actually pretty good. I'm not angry about that. But no, it feels like everything was hastily set up and then hastily concluded.
Again, with everything season 1 did, there was at least, even if there was a little meandering in certain episodes, it all connected in some way or another, and it just built upon itself. Here, there's no build to anything here. It just kind of happens. Okay, I guess, yes, the ending is kind of built because you had everything in 1 through 4, but that's not enough when you have a 9-episode series, or 9-episode season.
Yeah.
It's just not enough time to justify the actions of your characters.
You had 4 episodes of... Apocalypse needed a full 9 episodes to do justice. Yeah. And you can't... Here's the thing. I was a little more lenient listening to some of the people that were talking online and some friends of mine who were talking about the episodes saying, oh, well, they're having these one-off episodes to set up the characters, to set up the relationships. None of those relationships mattered. The only one that mattered was some sexy looks between Polaris and Bishop and Nightcrawler's death. That was the only thing. Yeah. Maybe it'll matter next season, but you should have done them next season then because it did not make sense.
Polaris doesn't do anything in this episode. Nope.
Wolverine doesn't do anything in this episode.
Nightcrawler technically does, but it's...
Here's another thing where fucking no one cares about anything anymore. Scott shoots... Cable shoots Gambit in the face. Everyone's livid at him, and then he's not dead. And now we're all singing Kumbaya and giving him Apocalypse.
It's not even just...
Like, what are we... Like, what?
It's not even just that. It's the fact that the whole season did clearly build towards Cable is going to kill Apocalypse. That's the whole point. And Cable doesn't do shit.
No, he doesn't. And I understand that Rogue being the one to take down Apocalypse makes sense because he killed Gambit. Well, no, he didn't kill Gambit. He took over Gambit. He technically he took over Gambit, whatever. He killed Magneto, which I want to point out something. Never dealt with at all. Did Rogue have 1 line? I think 2 lines maybe about Magneto, and that was it. Mind you, when Gambit died, she blew up military bases for him. And are you supposed to believe that this girl cared for Magneto? Yeah. No! Not at all.
Nothing.
I get that she always loved Gambit more, and that was even a thing with Magneto when she kissed him, that she backed out and she loved Gambit more, but she still cared about Magneto. That was never called into question, is that she still cared for Magneto. It was just she cared for Gambit more. So then why am I supposed to give a fuck at all when, like, what? No character cares about any other character at all this season. Yeah. Period. Except for Charles caring about Magneto's death. And even that barely meant anything at the end. Like... Yeah,
the ending with how Apocalypse is kind of dealt with is very reminiscent of Game of Thrones. Spoilers for Game of Thrones for those who haven't... But really, guys, for the 5 people who haven't seen Game of Thrones. But you already know how this goes.
I do.
So I'm free to talk about it. Obviously, in the very end of Game of Thrones... Arya is the one who kills the Night King.
Mm-hmm. With a knife.
With a knife. Great. It's not the knife itself. The knife itself, actually, that's okay. It's a big prophesized knife. It's the same knife in House of the Dragon that like all the prophecies written on for the prince that was promised. It's cat's paw.
Okay. Oh, is that what you meant with the episode earlier? That scene would have meant more?
It will. I'll get into that later when we get into House of the Dragon. There's another
yeah.
aspect to it, but like the Princess Promise, like knife, cat's paw, that's what's used to kill. The Night King. But your whole show had been building up to the big threat with Jon Snow being the one to build up the White Walkers. Arya has never interacted with the White Walkers until the very episode that she kills the Night King. So what? In no way, shape, or form was that ever the thing that was built. In no way, shape, or form was that ever like set up in any capacity. It should have been Jon to be the one to kill the Night King. Cable in this season was built up to kill Apocalypse. It's the whole prophecy behind his character.
Okay.
Is that he's the one to do it.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. This is the counter argument to that, is that I think the point is realizing that Cable was prophesized to kill Apocalypse and then wasn't able to live up to the prophecy. And I feel like they could have done that more interesting. I think that's my problem with it, is that they had all the building blocks there. Like, I'm probably more upset than you are, but I can understand that they had all the building blocks there, and I do think the whole thing with, like, Cable not able to kill Apocalypse should have meant more as him not being able to fulfill the prophecy. The biggest problem is that they didn't, like, they did it, but so fast and so sloppily that that's where you lead to the problem that we're having now, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Again, why dedicate in your show the amount of time you did to Cable being the one, building him up to be the one, and then not have anything happen? That's very different. It being a prophecy and having him learn that lesson is fine, but then you also spend so much time with young Cable, older Cable. Literally, in the last episode, Cable betraying the only family he's ever had with Scott and Jean, literally betraying the X-Men, working with the government X Factor. Is that what they're called? Yeah. X Factor, working with them because it's the only option he has left in killing him. It just doesn't work when you're setting up the story
it's not only that. Like, that, I don't want to say that's fine, but it's not. I agree, but it's also how fast they move on. Again, he shoots Gambit in the face. Everyone's upset, and then we move on. And then everyone's happy again. And then we give Cable Apocalypse to fulfill the prophecy or whatever. And that's the only thing we do with it. And that's it.
And Rogue coming in at the very end with the nice decked out Celestial.
With the power of the Celestials.
The power of the Celestial,
yeah.
Is the most cliche on your left.
Well, again,
Avengers Endgame type of thing, but it just doesn't work as well as the way Endgame did it.
That would have been fine if it wasn't for the fact that, like, she literally shows up to the Celestial, goes, hey, and the Celestial's like, you're dealing with powers that are beyond your comprehension. And then she goes, but I love him. And he goes, okay, I'll give you powers. What the fuck was that?
That's not that bad.
No, it is. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That is that bad. Because that is the power of friendship as ending that I'm getting sick and tired of.
Well, okay. So here's the issue that I stand with it. If it was in the end that Rogue sacrificed herself for Gambit and she was the one who is gone.
Like the Romeo and Juliet, they both die in the end, or one sacrifices themselves for the other. Like,
if that was the way it kind of ended up going and Gambit's alive again, but she's gone, I actually, in my mind, I could have accepted the ending a little more.
But they didn't do that.
But they didn't do that, and that's the thing.
That's the problem.
They chose the cheap cop-out, and, they're both happy together, but now we've lost what is arguably a lot of people's favorite X-Men character.
And again, you did it poorly. Yeah. Like, that's what I'm upset about, is that no one cared that Gambit was dead. No one. Not a single... This was a... how long episode? Like roughly 23 minute episode.
Yeah.
Maybe. I would have rather 30 seconds less of fighting. Take the entire dogfight out between What's-His-Face and Jubilee and replace it with a funeral for Gambit, and this would have been a substantially better episode. Nightcrawler, sorry, thank you. Take out the dogfight between Jubilee and What's-His-Face and replace it with a funeral for Nightcrawler, and this episode would have shot up at least a point. I shit you not. I had no problem. That was a cool animated scene. It was cool with Jubilee and obviously her leaving them. Like that, I get the meaning behind that, but I care so much less about that than I do about the death of Nightcrawler.
It's not on the same level, but it does kind of make me look back on like Stranger Things and The Boys and go, yeah, these were rushed endings, but at least it wasn't like this. Like I'm gonna be honest, I don't like this finale or this season. Like the hate that we both did have or disdain for Stranger Things and
hate's
it's a
strong.
strong word, but I'm gonna use it to get my point across. The hate we both had for those final episodes and that just final season in general, I don't think is comparable to this.
No. Because I genuinely have a bigger and it's funny because I preferred all the episodes leading into this. I would say I probably preferred more than a lot of the episodes of The Boys and Stranger Things leading in.
Sure.
But this finale to me is way worse. It is this final episode. And I guess here's the thing. This final episode definitely makes me even lower on those previous episodes, obviously, because it feels like, oh, well, the justification for a lot of the previous episodes was they're building. Well, we saw the payoff, and now that building didn't matter.
It just didn't matter.
It just didn't matter.
It's the same emotion cycle that I did go through with The Boys. I said, I'm going to give another episode. They have a chance to build, even down to like episode, I think it was like episode 6.
I gave up on The Boys way before you did. You held out, and granted, you care about The Boys more. That makes total sense that you'd hold out on The Boys longer. I understood that as much as I disagreed with you. I understood that. But I gave up on The Boys way earlier. We both held out hope on this season. You held out a little more hope than I did, but...
I held out till last episode, and then I knew, like, okay, there's no way they're wrapping this up in time unless it's, like, a longer episode.
But we both held out hope on this that maybe there was a chance. And, Rogue, let's talk about this as well. Rogue gets the crystal last episode. That was like that was the whole point.
Gone.
That was the whole point of last episode.
It's gone. Meant nothing.
Nope. Nothing.
It's gone.
Nope. Destroyed. Well, technically now we have a new crystal, and it just holds Apocalypse, which I will say leaves the door open for Apocalypse to come back, but that's kind of bullshit. That's kind of cheap. Oh, well, we don't want to have to defeat Apocalypse. We don't want to close the door from Apocalypse ever coming back.
Why? Why wouldn't you want to close that door? Because I promise you the show is not going... I like this show still, even after all the bullshit it put me through this
I think it has potential. We already saw the potential with season 1 and with this season in episodes.
But why make the promise of, oh, well, Apocalypse isn't really dead, we can bring him back, when your show realistically is probably not even going to survive another 4 more seasons?
It's confirmed through season 4 right now. It's confirmed. Season 3's already been in production and I believe almost finished. Season 4 is confirmed in pre-production.
Why?
And then
why make the false promises for something that you're not even going to be able to follow through on unless like in the next season, oh, Apocalypse is back and he's a one-off episode villain.
Yeah, I don't know. Unless they make the final season an actual, true, genuine, earth-shattering. That's the other thing. Let's talk about this. When did Apocalypse ever feel like he had a goal or threatening this season, other than when he set it up?
The entirety of his setup, he felt like a threat. But
yeah,
also
the entirety of his setup, he felt very threatening. He felt like he had a plan. He wanted to get back at people. And then these last 2 episodes, it just felt like he just was there and just...
He was like an annoying fly that buzzes around and then you just smack him.
A very powerful... Actually, that's not... I don't even want to say very powerful. Was he powerful this season? Was Apocalypse like...
I mean, he killed Magneto. And
I mean in the 2 episodes.
Well, he was barely shown, so of course he wasn't powerful. He was Gambit in last episode, so he didn't have his full power. And in this full power, I mean, yeah, he took down all the X-Men, but again, through the power of friendship and... Rogue
through the power of love, through the power of love and soft-hearted Celestials.
Yeah, fuck you, Marvel.
Dude, I'm so like I loved season 1 despite its flaws, and I'm lower on season 1. I love season 1, but I have a bigger problem with a lot of the pacing problems than some other people do because again, you have the freaking Mojo episode in there, which we didn't have this season. No episode. We said this last week, and I would actually, I don't know. Like, would I call this episode worse than the Mojo episode, which was my previous least favorite episode? I don't know if I can say that because the animation was better, the storyline was at least there, but I genuinely cannot I did not enjoy my time watching this episode.
So-
I didn't. It was beautiful, but everything that happened and everything in the story that happened, at least with the Mojo episode, you can kind of laugh a few times. This, I'm just walking away pissed off and disappointed.
So here's the thought. And I actually, ever since I watched the episode, I kind of had like my head turning a little bit about just like the idea of what could have been. Have your episode end with, okay, they're able to get Gambit back, whatever. Have the story turn itself on its head where you don't defeat Apocalypse this episode, which is the only thing that I actually said last week that would save the season, is that it's not, he's not defeated. It's just like continuing going. And that can justify why we've had so many episodes in between and just not having any connection. Have Apocalypse not be defeated and have him take over Cable's body. And so it becomes an inner turmoil victory between Cable and Apocalypse. But Apocalypse knows, hey, Cable's the one to defeat me. So I'm going to turn the story on its heads and I'm going to become Cable. Yeah. So that way, at the very least,
that would have been pretty. I think the only way that they could have saved this season, and you brought it up last week, but the only way they could have saved this season is if they didn't defeat Apocalypse. And now technically Apocalypse is a gem and could come back.
But they
defeated Apocalypse.
Technically, they didn't defeat Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man Quantumania. He's still technically alive somewhere.
Yeah, it's literally the equivalency on that. I would agree with you. That's a good comparison where it's like technically he can come back, but if we need to, they can say he is never coming back. And it's just like, it's such a BS way of doing it. And like, I get that. Like, I haven't looked up a lot of reviews. I've just spoken to a few people online. I don't get why people love this episode. I genuinely, I'm sorry, you're kind of blinded by your love of the General X-Men 97. This was just not.
Okay, here's where I don't agree with it, but here's where my mind can kind of understand why people are the way. People like Gambit, people like Rogue, and people liked episode, I think it was episode 4 of season 1 in which Gambit died.
The Gambit death.
Whichever one was, remember it. People love that episode. Naturally, they're going to like the last 2 episodes that happened. And honestly, in a lot of ways, I do enjoy the episodes because there's something to at least enjoy within them. I just was disappointed by what this episode brought, but that's not important. I understand why there's people out there who, because of the love for the certain characters in those episodes, you are going to love what they do here. Because, again, through the power of love, Rogue saving Gambit in a way that, you know, again, like the power of love and friendship and this and that and all the cheesy goodness of just... Exactly.
Shut up. Not to you.
No,
exactly. But, like, genuinely, you're wrong. You are. Like... I want to see a villain get eviscerated. And if you're going to do that to anyone, do it to Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Last season we did that. We blew up a freaking space station.
Yeah.
There was no power of friendship at the end of last season. No. Why did we do it with Apocalypse? Again, we didn't befriend Apocalypse, but we befriended the most powerful beings that we know in the universe. And, yeah. Oh, a life for a life? That's like
Black Widow sacrificed herself for the Infinity Stone at the end of Endgame, but that feels earned. It's justified because of the direction the story was going in. Here, it feel earned and justified.
And because I trust that she will stay dead. Because here's the thing: people want to make the complaints about like Steve coming back and all that. Steve did not die. That's not coming back on a death, and they have definitively said, and I believe the Russo brothers when they say this, Robert Downey Jr. is not coming back as Iron Man. Now, you can say whatever you want about the recasting, but that does not mean, like Tony Stark is not coming back. He is staying dead. I trust that Black Widow is staying dead. Gamora, Gamora is the best example of what they tried to do with Gambit. It literally is almost like where you kill a character and then you bring them back and you have them be a little bit of a villain. Like, that's where you make that interesting, is the whole Gamora thing where she doesn't remember the whole I bet we were fun line. Like, I don't expect that exact copy-paste thing, but, like, that is how you do a line where you have the person come back from the dead but not actually be the same and all that. That was super compelling and interesting. The reason why I felt nothing I felt something when Gambit died. I felt something when Magneto died. Now you've brought Gambit back with basically zero consequence other than Nightcrawler dying, which didn't even feel like a consequence. Yeah, I get it. He died to a Celestial, but also Gambit blew up.
Yeah.
Like, how am I supposed to believe that anyone's going to stay dead or care at all?
Give the Polaris episode to Rogue in a lot of ways.
Yes.
It actually does kind of fix the finale, and I'm more okay with the way she saves him in the end, because at least we spent time on Rogue building to the whole, well, Magneto's dead, I'm dealing with the death of that, and Gambit's also still dead. Have her come to terms with both. Have there be the card for Gambit. Rogue wants more than anything in the world to save Gambit. Sure, it's still cheesy. It's not exactly what I want, but at least it's not a...
Well, and again, I like that they gave Nightcrawler an episode to showcase his morals that kind of explains why he would sacrifice himself. Like, I think that makes sense. Like, Nightcrawler sacrificing himself and having an episode makes sense. It does. And it sets it up well, but it didn't, it didn't.
Sure.
No one cared.
Sure.
I needed them to care. Like, I know I keep repeating myself and I sound like a broken record, but like, no one cared Rogue didn't care that Magneto died. That's another thing that I've broken record on that I've been screaming from the rooftops.
Never saw the...
We got maybe 2-3 lines. She destroyed literal military bases when Gambit died. That was an entire almost episode dedicated to it. And instead of focusing on that, we focus on Polaris, who didn't even care that Magneto was dead.
Didn't even play.
And was actually kind of happy that Magneto died.
Didn't even play a factor in this finale.
Nope.
In any capacity.
I mean, she gave some sexy looks to Bishop that we've been building towards.
Who gives a crap about that?
Exactly.
I don't. Great character building, but your character building, it doesn't feel earned when you don't justify your main plot.
Well, and again, you had an entire episode of Magneto or of Wolverine and Morph, and it felt like they were building to some moral complexities there, and they didn't. They didn't.
They could still. That one I'm not as
like,
mad at because because again, at least in the other two episodes, there was at least somewhat a little bit of like a connective story through line tissue. The Wolverine one had no connectivity, so they still could build to that. And that one, I can't be as mad.
I understand, but was there? Correct me if I'm wrong. They didn't do that in season 1 at all.
No, not at all.
Not at all. They didn't do something where they had an episode in season 1 that would pay off in season 2. Not at all. Why are you doing that here? I guess it's because maybe when they made season 1, they didn't know for a fact that they were going to get a season 2, which would then make the finale of that season way worse, because they clearly were building to a season 2. But with this season, they had season 3 confirmed before this was even out, and so it gave them, I guess, a little bit more flexibility to maybe make episodes, and maybe they had to do that because they had a shorter I swear to God, if next season is 8 episodes and they cut another episode, I don't like. I'm gonna be like, what are we?
Yeah. Look again. Putting not. I mean, if you want to talk more about it, we can.
Beautiful animation.
Great animation. To a certain extent, there's some good pieces of dialogue here, but character moments.
Thing.
But that's the frustrating part. There are good character moments in this episode,
but they're just moments. That's the problem. Like Charles, for instance, had some great interactions with Apocalypse, but they breezed past them so quickly that you don't get to care at all. Like, he had some great lines that were just like line cut, line cut, line cut, and it's like, how am I supposed to connect with that? Like, I get that these episodes are short, and after this season, I know I literally just watched season 1. I kind of want to rewatch season 1 and see if there was a problem, because I don't feel like it was, where every episode was around the same length. Yes, they had one more episode in the season, but they did not rush. My biggest problem with season 1 was the pacing, and I still don't think it's nearly as bad as the pacing in this season, because it literally feels like Charles Xavier is going to confront Apocalypse. He literally killed Magneto, I'd like to remind you, in front of him. And we weren't now Apocalypse is seemingly defeated and we barely did anything with Charles and Magneto, and he wasn't able to actually vindicate at all, and Charles was kind of useless.
Yeah.
Literally the more I think about it, the more I hate this finale. Hate might be a strong word, but I have a big problem with this episode, and it just makes me lower on this season, where I look back and I'm like, Wolverine episode was fun while I watched it. Polaris episode was fun while I watched it. Danger Room was kind of interesting. Those first 4 episodes, really, really good. It's over. And we're here now. And So, Carson, you want to give us your thoughts on the season finale of House of the Dragon? Season 3 finale.
I thought it was shit.
So that's been another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast, the only podcast on the internet, Carson.
Now, all rage baiting aside, because I won't rage bait you anymore, I've loved this show. I loved it with all of my heart since it released in 2022. I think it was summer of 2022 is when it initially dropped. I loved all the world building they did. It felt like classic Game of Thrones. Season 2, in my mind, took a little bit of a meander. Damon was stuck at Harrenhal for a little too long and a little too much incest with his mother. But, all good shit when it comes to Game of Thrones, I guess. I guess. No, all jokes aside, Season 3 was a massive step up from Season 2. They brought their A game. They got us 2 big battles, which in a world of Game of Thrones, we only usually get one maybe once a season. I loved everything that this episode did. It, in a lot of ways, even though I know where this story is going in a lot of ways, it still took me by surprise and turned the story on its head whenever certain things and moments took place when they took place. Like, for instance, everything to do with Ulf. Ulf is now my number 1 most hated character. Fuck off. Just betraying both sides, being a complete idiot, and destroying the lives of so many people in this place. Gawain having the heart of gold and still trying to kind of save Darion in a lot of ways, and Darion also in a weird way, not being the worst person in the world, but like, just not innocent people, innocent bystanders, mind you, I guess is the best way to say it. Everything with Hugh this episode was really good. He was in the episode just a little bit, but like they brought the right amount of emotions and very straightforward. We know what's going to happen when it happens. It just breaks our heart. Damon, oh my God, unleashed Damon this episode. Bro has been fiending and building ever since episode 2 after they took the King's Landing to just itch and kill some fuckers. And they just they let him go free. Caraxes comes in. He goes on a killing spree. But Damon still, in a lot of ways, is on a leash this episode. And so whenever that leash kind of just is let go because Ulf decides to burn an entire fucking town of Tumbleton, my God, I mean, great score, great action. It's a beautiful action set pieces, some gorgeous fighting. And the CGI this episode, I want to bring that up specifically, looks absolutely outstanding this episode. I had my complaints with some of the Battle of the Goal, obviously because it's over water. It's really hard to not notice the CGI in this. In a lot of ways, you can barely notice the CGI this episode. It's fantastic. A lot of the sets are practically built. A lot of the effects are practically done with some CGI splatter blood every now and again, which you kind of have to have that. I just thought it was really well done. All the character moments this episode are outstanding. Rhaenyra is slowly becoming more and more, and you understand why, because you watch the season and you see where her character goes, becoming more and more just like the conqueror and becoming more and more enraged and slipping further away from what her father actually kind of stood for and how he was a really good king. And now she's becoming this, in a lot of ways, a tyrant. And it just works so well. Coming full circle with the character, bringing us to a moment which is possibly the most shocking moment of the entire episode, that being the tragic demise of Helena, and what is the last real good representation in this show now being gone. Just gone off the face of the planet. The writing is good, the cinematography is good, the CGI is good, the action sequence is fucking rocked. I cannot wait for season 4.
See you in 10 years.
See you in 10 years for season 4.
Have they started filming?
Yeah.
Oh, they have?
Yeah,
okay.
They've been filming that for a while. I just think it takes 2 years in between for them.
I mean, that makes sense. These are, and I'm assuming next season's going to be, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah. House of the Dragon rocks. House of the Dragon season finale rocks. I came in as a avid hater of House of the Dragon. It was just incest in season 1. That's all it was. You had the Viserys stuff at the end of that season, which was really good. And you had some political leanings going on, but all the political leanings was child incest. And it was legitimately not fun to watch. I enjoyed season 2 because one, you focused way less on the incest other than the stuff you did with Damon and his mom and a few other things. But genuinely, I enjoyed season 2 because it took more of a focus on the interesting side of the politics. And yes, it was slower, and yes, there were some boring moments, but I also binged it, so that works in my favor to where I'm not having to go through those slow moments week to week. Then going into season 3, we started out with some incredible episodes. To start this off. And then I think we kind of took a little bit of a lull. I wouldn't say like a full lull, but we were definitely a little slower. These last 2 episodes, though, are bangers. This episode had me stressed out. Oh my God, Ulf is enemy number 1. I'm going to say it. Ulf is worse than Christian Cole. I hate Christian Cole, and I celebrate it when he's dead. And I will celebrate more when Ulf is dead. Because here's the thing. I saw people online defending Ulf's actions. I'm going to talk about this last week, but I'm going to say it now. If you defended Ulf's actions whatsoever, you're a terrible person. Because look at what he just did. This is like legitimately. Because you're like, yes, he burned the armies and that, whatever. He burned hundreds of innocent lives. Children, women, innocents who had nothing to do with this because he is a weak, sniveling slob of, I don't even call him a fucking person because he doesn't deserve that title. He is horrible. And I think it's phenomenal character writing, and I think it makes total sense, but he's a terrible person. And it's so difficult this episode, and one of the reasons why it was so hard to watch is because you have one of the, now probably the worst character in this show with Ulf. At the same episode, you kill off, literally while we watched this episode together, literally watching this episode, you kill off the only good character left. Helena throws herself out a window because she cannot take it anymore. Her line of dialogue between her and Rhaenyra was genuinely so heartbreaking. Viserys would be disgusted by you. Oh my God. And the sad part is, she's right. Viserys would not like what Rhaenyra has become. You understand why Rhaenyra has become what she's become. That's been literally the whole point of this season. But she's lost her first son. She lost another son. Now she has one son left, the only heir to her name. And she needs to protect him, and she needs to protect her claim. She has now not only declared war on everyone, on Aemon, on Aegon coming back, being the crux of starting this, and then Aegon not even caring about any of that, right? Well, he does, but going and confronting Aemon. God, that line that he drops to Aemon's face, and that laugh, that's an Oscar, that's an Emmy laugh right there. That was genuine. I laughed so hard. It was so good. Everything in this episode was just so top notch. Rhaenyra betraying her own friends and her own people that stood beside her. Like, God, it's so heartbreaking. But again, like, I've complained that Rhaenyra has not been in this season enough, and I still hold that complaint. I do wish we got a little bit more of a build to some of these actions, but I still feel like a lot of these actions make sense. I also have to say, killing the High Towers. We don't know the status of Darren, but we do know that what's-his-face is dead, and I am very, very... Ormond Hightower is dead, burned by Dragonfire in a very badass... Well, not badass for him, but I do love that Ulf killed him and betrayed both sides, but still... I loved this episode. I thought this was a banger season finale. I thought everything they did was just absolute top notch. And it's not just because, oh, boy, like battle make good episode. It's really because you're not only taking everything and making it come together, but you have the character moments. Daemon going ballistic because he's been pent up for so long, and he's fine. Like, that smile on his face when Rhaenyra finally tells him to go invade Tumbleton was one of the best things. Like, it was so good. House of the Dragon season 3 is the best season. I'm putting my foot down on that. It's the best season. It topped season 2 for me, and I am so excited for season 4. And after season 4, I'm going to read the book because I have heard that there are major changes, and I am curious to see how I enjoy. A lot of people go book, show. I'm going to go show, book, and see what I think.
There are changes, and I can't really get into much right now until the show's over. Until
I
you read
know
the book.
some of the biggest changes is obviously we already talked about the whole Allison thing, which did end up being useless, and I do still kind of feel like even if I didn't know that was a change from the book, I still feel like I would have kind of been like, okay, that kind of was pointless because it didn't. She poisoned Aemon and it didn't do anything, and then I love how we had to have our one shot of Allison just one shot of Allison this season doing nothing in the woods, maybe having gotten away, maybe having not. We got no clue.
Right.
But yeah.
So,
also, I'm gonna start this off.
go ahead.
Is the Lannister dead? Like, he wasn't in this. Like, did Aegon just leave him behind? Is he dead?
Aegon just left him.
Okay. I was like,
Aegon just left him.
I was like, he was like ready to die for you, and then you're just like, sayonara, sucker.
Aegon just left him. Yeah, that's fine. That's a very Aegon thing to do. It
is a very Aegon thing to do.
I actually want to. I want to start with this, just because this is the most important conversation piece I think to have, and that's the fact there's a lot of people out there who are hating on this, not just this episode, but this entire season, because they didn't think it was like, I don't know what you said earlier. It was like not action heavy enough, or there wasn't enough of this or that.
I mean, people. A lot of the complaints that I've seen, I have not seen anything about this episode because we literally just watched it.
Right.
But I know for this season as a whole, a lot of people have been complaining because it feels like we're running in circles.
How so?
In the sense of like, every episode follows a general format of people getting angrier, schemes getting better, but nothing actually happening with those. And the schemes just kind of feel like the pencil doesn't shift until the end of the episode, but then the end of the episode shifts the pencil a little bit. But then the start of the next episode, you're not exactly like paying off that pencil shift, which I can understand where they're coming from a little bit, but I just don't really.
But that's also like, to those people, I say, go watch anything else other than Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones is a slow, methodical building show and may not pay off everything. It is just a build, and that's entirely especially after episode 2 of season 3. That's what it entirely was this slow, methodical build to get to this episode, which is a big battle. Which, people, we got 2 battles in one season. Please quit complaining.
We got 2 battles. And we got Rhaenyra taking the throne, which wasn't a huge battle, but we got the Battle of the Gullet, Rhaenyra taking the throne, and we got the Battle of Tumbleton. Those are 3 almost fully dedicated to that episodes of insane stuff happening.
And because if you don't have that build, or the build that like everybody's, I guess, technically complaining about now, you know what that leads you to? Season 8 of Game of Thrones. That's what it builds you to. And unfortunately, I don't want that. I don't want that for this show. So to those people who complain about it, I implore you to look again and just remember that we don't have to have an action set piece every time. We don't need to have payoff every single second, but we can have the slow, methodical build to get to a certain point. It's some of the best episodes of not even just, let's use another example, just so I can say it. Walking Dead are the episodes that are slower, are the episodes that build until we get to a big ending sequence. I know you've never watched Walking Dead, so I'm not going to like fully spoil it for you, but also you may not remember this by the time you get to it. Season 2 entirely takes place on this farm, and a lot of people don't like that it takes place on this farm, but the big payoff is that we get the inevitable confrontation between Shane and Rick, which has been building since even season 1 all the way through season 2. That that payoff cannot happen unless you slowly build and see the relationship break over time and see Shane go slowly more insane as an apocalyptic world takes fold. It's the same thing here. You cannot get the justified answers you want unless you slowly build in this world and play in the sandbox a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying the season is not without fault. I think Alicent being as needy as she was, and every scene with Alicent just being her begging, I get it. It's good character, but it does kind of get a little repetitive. Alicent being sent to kill her own son and that not really leading anywhere, obviously being a change from the book. That also kind of wasn't great. I wanted Rhaenyra to be a little bit more involved this season. I think we should have seen a little bit more for her. Like, I still have problems with this season. It's not like a perfect season, but I think what we did get had me at the edge of my seat like, there was not a single episode this entire season where I was like sitting back being like, nothing's happening. Like, I'm at the edge of my seat going, oh my God, this character's doing this character's doing this. Like, I'm stressed.
Yeah. Well, and that's the feeling you should have when you tell this type of a story when you're in this universe. I mean, you saw Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Night of the Seven Kingdoms also in a lot of ways, this show is different. I think you can't
I still
really compare
prefer
the two.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms to House of the Dragon personally. Even this season, I still think Night of the Seven Kingdoms was better, but that's just because admittedly it's more my vibe. It's more like every episode is not the most depressing thing you will ever watch in your life.
Night of the Seven Kingdoms is more down to earth, and honestly, if they really wanted to.
The last 2 episodes of Night of the Seven Kingdoms were very stressful episodes. Really the last 3, I'd say, but mainly those last 2. But there was a lot of buildup that was a lot more fun and a lot more like necessary building, but it wasn't dreadful building in the sense of like, not like, oh, I don't want to watch this, but like, oh my God, the building is character death and, and people getting betrayed and stuff like that.
You're also not dealing with the family dynamics or the family dynasties or who's sitting on a big chair at the end. You're dealing with, not to quote Yelena Belova, small potato things.
Yes.
You're dealing with the nitty gritty of like something that's smaller and not so big scale scope, like a House of the Dragon, like a Game of Thrones. This keeps squeaking and it's so annoying.
We'll get you a new chair. Maybe not by next episode, but
it's so funny because every now and again I'll just put my arm down and you just hear. Oh, it doesn't do it, of course, on cue whenever I need to. But it's just squeaking. Anyway, so I guess just like kind of putting that together and those pieces together, I kind of agree with you. I think I like Night of the Seven Kingdoms more, but I still don't know because I just love all of what House of the Dragon is and, just all the goodness that comes with that show.
Well, no, again, like I really like this season. I think it's more of just like, I think Night of the Seven Kingdoms did not have a single episode that was better than half the episodes in House of the Dragon season.
Yeah.
But as a holistic picture, I had more fun and enjoyment. But I think, again, House of the Dragon is better. So it's kind of like preference versus quality. Like House of the Dragon is really high quality. Night of the Seven Kingdoms is also really high quality. But when you're talking about, do you want to be dreadful and stressed the entire time, or do you want to laugh at Egg and Duncan's relationship? That's where it depends on what you're looking for. It's really where it comes down to.
A weird comparison. It's like when you do fantasy football, or like when you do football, you draft a guy who has like a pretty consistent ceiling. It's like he doesn't really get any higher, but he doesn't get really any lower than like a 20 or something, like 20 points per game. Like that's what Night of the Seven Kingdoms is. Like it's really good, it's consistent. But House of the Dragon's like I'm gonna say names for people at home who might know, it's like a Puka Nakua or Jamar Chase, who they could get up to 40 points at some point, but also they might not get 20 points, and it's very random and sporadic.
Yeah,
you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
so I don't know. I like House of the Dragon more, I think. But I think...
Okay, I mean, that's fair. That's fair. Again, I would not surprise that we disagree on that just because of what we both look for. I will say this season definitely made me want to watch Game of Thrones more than anything else has, even more than Night of the Seven Kingdoms did. Yeah. But I might even try to catch up before season 4 comes out just to see.
You could.
I definitely have time, but...
I think you definitely have time now. But
I think... Let's see, where do we want to go with this? Obviously, we can talk about the Ulf thing, but
let's talk about what Ulf impacts the most, which is Rhaenyra. Mm-hmm. Holy shit, that changes so much.
It does, because Rhaenyra, her whole thing that she stood on was that she wanted to be the what's the word that I'm looking for?
She wanted to be seen as
altruistic. She wanted to be the altruistic queen, and she wanted to stand above and be like, "Hey, I don't kill innocents. I'm not going to put innocents in the path. I'm not going to Ulf screwed that up." And unfortunately for Rhaenyra, it's not her fault, but it is going to very much affect her reign and the people's view of her and her family. And I think it's difficult because I really thought, before Ulf betrayed in the way that he did, I really thought that the problem was going to be with the Hightowers using children as sacrifices.
Well, it was.
It is. It's still going to, especially because Daemon did burn those 2 children at the gate. They're dead.
But we never see bodies, so I think they're pretty much dead. But
yeah, it's still. Either way, but Daemon did still, and I love that he did this. This was so good because Daemon doesn't care. Daemon, if it was just... This was so good. Daemon doesn't care. If it was him and he was ruling for his own crown, he would have burned those children and not looked left or right.
He would have.
And season 2 Daemon would have burned those children. He would have burned those children even in the name of Rhaenyra. He wouldn't have listened to Rhaenyra, and he would have burned those children. But this is where I love what they've done with Daemon's character, where he's kind of he went in season 2, and this is why I think my enjoyment of season 2, even loving it more than most people, has gone up, because I think what they did with Daemon in season 2, trying to fight for his own crown and betraying Rhaenyra, and then him finally coming around, makes this season so much more impactful, because now he is actually genuinely to the bottom of his heart, believes and wants Rhaenyra to rule, and is doing everything in his power to fight for her interests in the way that she wants it fought. In that moment where Daemon shoos those kids away is the pinnacle representation of that. And it's so well done.
Well, it's also because he knows at the end of the day, he was never going to get the throne. He's seen glimpses of the future. He knows about
the prophecy.
And the prophecy.
Well, and now Rhaenyra, we could talk about that. Rhaenyra shared the freaking prophecy with everyone, which was
a little different and a little change because, as Game of Thrones people know, she is not the prince who was promised. And I guess it's up to interpretation. I guess you could say she technically is, whatever. I don't.
Well, she isn't the one who defeats the White Walkers.
She isn't the one who defeats the White Walkers.
She does help push the the realm in that direction, I guess.
Yes, but she's also not the prince who was promised. It is technically Jon Snow who is the prince that was promised. The man who was literally born.
But Jon Snow is a relative of Rhaenyra, correct? He is a descendant of Rhaenyra's line.
I'd have to look at that again. I would imagine so. Yes.
Okay.
No. Yes. I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
Not important. What is important is that the whole point of that prophecy is that Jon Snow is quintessential. Like, she calls herself this episode the prince that was promised. You're not the prince that was promised. That's where she's getting it confused. It becomes Jon Snow because the prophecy specifically says it's the Song of Ice and Fire. Jon Snow was born as a Stark. He was born of ice, but he's also a Targaryen. He's born of fire.
Yeah.
He is quintessentially the prince that was promised, and anybody who argues with me on that, you're wrong.
Well, and I guess that's, again, I'm curious to see what my thoughts on when I actually see how that unfolds, but why people would have a problem with the way the White Walkers were defeated, because it wasn't him, and he is the prince that was... Yeah.
Weekly reminder that all the battle at Tumbleton, all the death, and all the children that were burned, it's all for Bran to sit on the fucking throne at the end of Game of Thrones.
Just your weekly reminder,
your weekly reminder that all of this is for fucking Bran. Just pointing that out.
Yeah, no, but I think, like, that whole thing with Daemon, like, Daemon's character has been, like, Daemon is a terrible person. He is a horrendously terrible person. But I really like, and I don't want to call it a redemption arc by any means, but the arc that he has gone on this season is my favorite by far.
Daemon's character is the interesting one because he's the character that you shouldn't root for, but he does, at the end of the day, there is a heart in him. He just doesn't, like, he's such a bad person.
Yeah, he's a horrendous.
He has
murdered children. He like literally responsible for the death of not just these children in this episode, but the princeling that he killed, and also kind of grooming his own child niece. And,
but he does have a heart to him, and that is shown even in this season with I almost said Rhaenys, with Rhaena and the sheep stealer incident. All of that was what I loved last episode was seeing that, because that showed that Daemon, there is character, there is life, there is a heart to him.
Well, and again, I feel like season 2 Daemon would have never, and that's why, like, I don't, like, again, I understand that season 2 was slow, but, like, looking at this season and what that season built to with his character, it's so unbelievably necessary. It really is.
Well, and speaking of characters with good hearts, Gwaine, we actually talked about this off camera a little bit. I think Gwaine is now technically the only character
left with a heart in him that's actually, like, not.
I would say Hugh is.
Well, here's the funny thing. I would have made the argument. I think I actually made the argument last week for Alan.
Oh, Alan.
It's really difficult now with this episode.
Okay, let's back it up. A lot of the characters, even Corlys. What has Corlys done? Beyond the things that you personally have a problem with that are not Game of Thrones logic, like the wedding of, like,
he's very loyal, I guess. I think it's I'll give him that. He is if especially this episode solidified that he is, like, the most loyal character probably. Him standing by Rhaenyra after everything the last 2 episodes has been insane to witness. He's lost he's lost his fingers. It's crazy, and yet he's still Now, granted, I'm curious to see where that goes after this episode, but
well, it honestly messes. Like Adam has a good heart, Alan has a good heart, and what's fun is Alan also is sitting in a pretty twicky spot right now because he kind of killed the High Septon guy. He kind of murdered him, and he even warned him like, "Don't do it. Like you're gonna be in the."
Well, and I love Rhaenyra's whole like back. It's like you are old, you are blood of old Valyria. Right. You do not answer to their gods, and using that logic. But then he's like, yeah, stab. And then it's kind of like that post-adrenaline washing off of him, and you see the realization of what he did on his face. And then Rhaenyra having to go out there and essentially be like, I'll give Rhaenyra credit for this. This is probably the smartest thing that she did, is she really wanted to do things the right way. She really wanted to get crowned and not have to go through any of this. She genuinely tried to do this the right way. Yeah. Now, you can side with the church, you cannot side with the church. I think that one's really difficult because I understand where the church is coming from, whether I disagree with it or not. I do actually understand where they're coming from, because if the guy that everyone said was dead in his dragon come back to life, yeah, I would think God had a hand in that as well. Literally, I mean, I know they don't believe in the Jesus Christ God, right, but a big story of Jesus Christ is resurrection, and that being an important thing. So I can understand the church's perspective, but I do love how smart Rhaenyra is with kind of coming with the idea of, you know what? I wanted to do this the right way, but I'm going to go with plan B. Yes. And I was already crowned, actually. It doesn't matter if they won't crown me again. I have been crowned and anointed before, therefore that still stands. Again, it gets complicated because Aegon was also additionally crowned, in which I don't know exactly how the politics works, but I'd assume that usurps Rhaenyra's claim. But
yes,
it is still a valid enough argument that she is not dead. So therefore, she was still anointed, and...
Well, and talking about another character who's impacted from Ulf's thing, because that's really what... Ulf's moment affects so many people.
Yeah.
But Hugh, obviously, going to Tumbleton, disobeying Rhaenyra's orders of staying behind...
Hugh's going to be the one... I know you can't tell me this. I hope Hugh is the one. Hugh or Daemon are the two characters that I'd want to kill Ulf, and I think it'd make the most sense.
There are some things coming, and I really cannot wait for you to see it, because there's one moment that I'm like... He doesn't know about this yet, and it's going to shock you. But also at the same time, it makes sense when you realize what they're building to. But Hugh is going to be affected by this a lot.
I could see Hugh turning side. Well, here's the thing. I don't necessarily see Hugh turning sides. Yeah. I think that would be a very difficult thing to justify. But I could easily see Hugh leaving Rhaenyra. I could easily see him abandoning Post. He's either going to abandon Post or go full berserker against the Greens.
Sure.
That's kind of the two sides that I see.
Sure. Yeah. I just wanted to bring up Hugh because he's in this episode, I think, the least, other than Alicent. But he does so much with the small screen time. Like, just
God, that heart wrenching when he comes in and his wife is dead.
And the scream is so good.
Yeah.
Ormond, great performance.
Yes.
Great. Thanks for being here this season. He gone. But good performance. I forget what his name is, but the Stark who helped, or I don't know if he's a Stark, but the Northman.
Oh, the Northman. Yeah. Dude, he was so cool this episode.
Boy went down like a champ.
Oh my God. I loved his line of dialogue with Daemon. That was so funny, where it's like, Daemon's like, you are not allowed to die until the gate is open. And he's like, when the gate opens, we die! And then, cut to him being in the castle. He looks over, Daemon has now burnt down the gate, and he looks at his men, and he goes, the gate is open, but we are not dead yet!
We're not dead yet!
And it's not like he's excited that. He's like, this is a problem that the gate is open and we're not dead yet.
We need to solve this problem.
Exactly. So then immediately goes and finds Ormond Hightower and obliterates him.
The orders...
Gets his arm chopped off. God, directs the blood of his arm into his face. And oh my God, it was so good.
He took his orders so literally. Gates are open, then you die.
That might be my favorite character this season, just for that moment. Like he's just so funny.
What a baller character. My favorite line from him was when just Daemon asked, "You still prepared to die for our queen?" And he just goes, can't fucking wait. I'm like, oh my God.
Are you prepared to die? In fact, that's the only reason that I'm here.
Bro has more balls and doesn't care.
Well, because the story with the Northmen is that they're the people they're the warriors that have lived long enough that, like, they're so old that it's either die of old age, or die in battle. And to them, the honorable thing is to die in battle, which is why they don't mind charging through fire or charging through boiling oil or getting limbs cut off and still fight. Like, they don't care. They want this. They think this is cool. Now, I would not personally want to live like that, but it is badass.
Right. Another thing we can kind of discuss a little bit is Ormond's definitely dead, but we already said it lightly. Darian's not dead.
So we okay, yeah, because we discussed that. That's what I was gonna ask you before we started recording. Is like, he's not dead, obviously, but I am curious to see what role he plays going forward, because it's difficult because now he can just run away.
Yeah,
like Ormond was the only thing that was keeping him and causing this whole problems, and I think it makes like. If we never find out what happens with him, I genuinely would not have that big of a problem, because I think you could easily write it off in a line or two where him and Gwen Hightower ran away as maybe lovers. I can't exactly. That's kind of what it's implied. And we never see them again because the battle is over. They have no interest in the throne. Ormond, the only one holding them here, is dead, and they can go off. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they played some sort of role, but I also wouldn't be that upset if we really didn't see them again, because now you have Aemon and Aegon coming back and possibly teaming up with each other and the Witch or whatever, which we also got a little bit more background on the Witch. I don't think we really need to get that much into it.
It was just a lore drop. It doesn't really have much emotion to it, but it was just kind of more the reason of why she's in Harrenhal, why this is...
Her son was dead, and she was now, like, her son was cursed, and then she tried to undo it, and then she got cursed, and now she has to live forever, But
I think the most hidden standout moment in this episode, and it's probably something you weren't even thinking of, but this is a moment I really wanted to talk about, was the kind of full circle moment for Cole, in a way. Even though Cole's dead, his presence is because you have Gwaine just with the heart of gold trying to save Darion in a lot of ways, but literally dropping the line of, listen, I've been amongst soldiers, I've been amongst a group of people who just were in battle and wanting to die. This is not the way to go out. Or I don't know what he said exactly.
It was something along the lines of, I've seen soldiers think that the way to live is to die, or something along those lines.
But that's literally Cole's whole thing.
Yep.
Especially in episode 3 or season 3, episode 1 was literally the whole monologue that he had was literally telling that to Gwaine. And I just think it's such a beautiful full circle moment, especially for Cole, who we even agreed at the end of the day, as much as we hate Sir Christian Cole.
He's a really well-written character, but he's written in a way that makes you want to hate him. It's not like we hate his character because he's poorly written or anything like that, and we just hate his presence. He's written to be hated, and we hate him. It's kind of like Ulf. Ulf is a really well-written character, but he's written so that we can hate him, and I hate him.
Well, in Cole's other thing, it's like... we already talked about it, so I'm not going to harken on too long, especially because this was episodes ago, but during his death, like, it's sad to see, like, he went out the way he wanted to go out, I guess, in battle, but he did have a heart. Everything that happened was because of a girl telling him no, basically, which boys know better than that. If a girl tells you no, life's not over. What the fuck, Cole? Bro simped over one girl and then fucked her best friend later on.
Literally, that is Sir Christian Cole's life. Is he got turned down, and then he went in, got with her best friend, who, mind you, was married to the king, and messed up his entire life, and then threw a tantrum about it. And yeah, he's hateable. He's just an idiot.
He's an idiot, but I like the callback and the echo with that. I just think it's so well done. There's so many moments like that this episode. And let's touch on Rhaenyra a bit more, because they do a lot with her character here. She is just I touched on it a little bit, but she's just full-blown tyrant conqueror at this point. And it is...
Well, and you really saw that breaking point last episode. And was it last episode when we saw the gold coin, or was it 2 episodes ago where we saw the gold coin? Because that was really the point in which...
I think it was last episode. I'll look it up later, but I think it was last episode.
No, it wasn't last episode. Or maybe It was, well, because Aegon coming back is what really pushed her over the edge, obviously, which we saw this episode.
Sure.
And that was kind of what forced Rhaenyra to be like, okay, now I need to, like, actually do something.
Well, because, again, so much to the point of this season is she took the throne. She did exactly what her son was dead. The season is a weird trajectory for her because it gives her a really interesting arc where it's you come into this episode really caring about Rhaenyra's cause. She just lost another son fighting in what is inevitably a pointless war. She gets the goal that she's been seeking this whole time, and all she's doing in like the episodes following is striving to be like her father, to be the best version.
And everyone around her is fighting against it.
Everybody's fighting against
like,
it.
She genuinely believes that she is doing what she can for the people and what she believes is best for the people, and everyone around her is just fighting inwardly or externally against her. Like, it's everything is crumbling behind her, and she's just getting more and more frustrated each episode. Again, this is why I wish we saw more of this, but even what we did see, it's just Rhaenyra getting more and more upset about the fact that she's trying to carry on Viserys' legacy, and she's having to get more and more and more stern every episode in order to hold on to that grasp. And her promise is that when she finally has the throne definitively and doesn't have to have this war, then she will be able to rule caringly. But unfortunately, that just never comes to pass.
Well, and the final, I guess 2 characters we can, talk about that kind of factor into it is Aegon and Aemon.
Yeah.
Now, after being a whole season separate, more than a whole season separate at this point.
Like a season and a half, really.
Season and a half,
it's really, since the battle of, what battle was that at the castle when Aegon was presumed dead? Yeah, and since the battle of Rook's Rest, I don't think, they really haven't interacted other than in his bedroom after he was burned, and then Aegon runs away.
Yeah.
And so it's been like about a season and a half since they interacted with each other, and this is when they're finally meeting again. And Aemon genuinely believed that his brother was dead and that he killed him, and now he feels bad, mainly because the witch has been giving him therapy.
It's funny looking at the whole context of the show. None of the people who are being, I guess, put up to be put on the throne are people who didn't want the throne initially. Rhaenyra didn't want the throne initially. She ended up just becoming the heir because his son died and didn't really have much of an option. But no matter if a son's born at this point, you are the heir. You're going to be the future of this family. Aegon didn't want the throne. We saw that in season 1 when he's actively fighting against Aemon to be put on the throne, whatever. I guess the only person who wanted the throne was, Daemon and technically Aemon.
Aemon definitely wanted the throne, for sure. Daemon and Aemon are definitely...
Which is why Aegon even looks at him and says, you have it. Like, I'll go away. I'll go far away. You can take the throne.
Literally, when Aegon... The same episode that Aegon gets crowned, he literally looks at Aemon and goes, you can have the crown. And unfortunately, Aemon was like, no, I can't. Like, so this is you. You have to
be the one to do it.
And I really like that. But
I just like that the dynamic of, like, nobody who was poised to be put on the throne was meant to be on the throne.
But now that's changed so much to where everyone wants the throne, and it's kind of corrupted them in a way. And I think that's what a lot of Game of Thrones is about, is the corruption of power.
Except ironically, now it's flipped again. Aemon and Daemon don't want the throne. Aemon's actively like, I want to stay in Harrenhal. Like, prior to knowing that his brother was alive, was guilty of everything. He never felt more alone in this episode than after realizing my mother tried to poison me and kill me. And I literally just have this one chick left, and that's it. Like, that's all I have. I killed my brother. Doesn't even want the throne anymore. Like, that's this show is peak. It is so good. I love everything they try to do with House of the Dragon. And honestly, just this final episode was just so well done.
Yeah, no, I really like this final episode. I think that, again, this season is my favorite season of House of the Dragon, and I genuinely, like, I see some of the complaints, but overall, like, I think a lot of it really came together. Like, looping it full circle, X-Men 97 had some really good episodes that really had some bad moments in them, just like House of the Dragon did, where it had some problems with some really good episodes mixed in. The major difference is House of the Dragon actually pulled it together with the ending and the last 2 episodes in a way that I really look at and go, wow, this is really good. Now, granted, I was generally higher on House of the Dragon than X-Men 97, but you can still have some of the same problems with the pacing and things like that. But unfortunately with X-Men 97, they just didn't do that, and then House of the Dragon did.
And even in the lowest moments of House of the Dragon, like, I don't think they compare to the lowest moments of what 97 were.
No, not if we're talking season to season, no. Show to show, definitely. There's a lot more lows in House of the Dragon than there are in X-Men 97.
Last joke I want to make is Eamon got the Damon treatment this season and was stuck in Harrenhal the whole season, which is very funny because I have not seen one person complain about it, and everybody complained about Damon being stuck in Harrenhal last season.
Because they care less about Eamon, admittedly, and
Damon's still my favorite character.
I don't know if he's my favorite. Helena was definitely, I don't want to say my favorite, but she was definitely the one character that I was actually like genuinely felt bad. Well, because, and I love the line of dialogue. This was back to when Gwaine was trying to negotiate with Damon on the let's marry these two and then we can just end all of this. And that's really what is solved the whole problem to begin with.
But Damon had his orders.
No, I know. And I understand why he didn't. I think it makes sense that he didn't. But we talked about this, I think, last episode, literally, where if Helena would have married Jace, which, mind you, if you look back, would have made more sense. Jace and Helena got along so much better than Aegon and Helena did. But it was really Otto Hightower is the one that wanted this and was kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes, because if Helena and Aegon married, it would stay in the Hightower name. But if she married Jace, then you would kind of be splitting the families. And that's one thing I have heard is a little bit better in the books is the Hightower manipulation of things is a little bit more clear.
Yeah.
Because, and this we can talk about a little bit, but I know I have to go here in a second. I can't see the time exactly. What time is it?
It is 5:53.
I have to go in 7 minutes, so we'll wrap this up here shortly. But I do think that one thing I'm curious to see, because this is the one thing I have heard that's different in the book, is Alicent never mishears never mishears in the book. It is always just her and Otto manipulating, which I will admit, not knowing the book, I prefer the Otto manipulation. I do prefer the Hightower manipulation than the mishearing, because admittedly the mishearing has just kind of been infuriating, and I think it makes so much more sense that the Hightowers were manipulating. It
changes the whole dynamic of the show.
It does.
But I think the thing that I'm kind of looking at it as, Otto was always manipulating, and it's because you get that scene in season 1, episode 4, I think is what it is, when you have Alicent walking up to her dad after her dad's basically been like absolved as Hand of the King, and was like, if you had just not pushed Aegon as king so hard, we never would have been in this position. You wouldn't have been sent away.
Literally, if you want to really boil it down, there are two people to blame for this. One, Otto.
Yeah, I think wholeheartedly you blame Otto, but yes.
Well, I think 95%
Otto, 5% Alicent, which is
no, not Alicent.
Oh, really?
I don't know. I blame all of Alicent on Otto, because Alicent is terrible. She is, but she would never have gotten to that point if it wasn't for Otto manipulating. In him raising her that way. No, I do think that Jaehaerys holds more blame than people would get.
Really?
I do think that he needs to shoulder some of that blame, because yes, there was manipulation going on around him, but he even basically acknowledges how willfully ignorant he was in the face of trying to feign peace. And I think that is you can blame the manipulation on Otto, absolutely, but he needs to accept the fact that he willfully did this.
You talking Viserys?
Viserys, not Jaehaerys. Yes, thank you. Viserys willfully and knowingly ignorant, and he knew that there was a chance that things would blow up, but he just wanted that his life and his reign would be calm. Unfortunately, though, that led to all of this, because he did not raise his children properly. He did not, and that is what, he did not.
Nope.
Yeah.
But
So
good season.
good season.
Good episode.
Good season, House of the Dragon. Bad season, X-Men 97.
We'll see in 2 years for, I think, both shows, technically.
I would not be surprised if we got X-Men 97 next year. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to get it 2027.
I hope we do, because it ended up getting, not delayed, but it was longer than I thought it was going to be for the first season and second season, so.
Yeah, I think Disney, because they've been, like, the one thing that, I don't love, release them fast, because obviously quality will dip.
Right.
Because that's what we've seen with Invincible. But if you start, I'm pretty sure, we've already talked about, X-Men 97's already been full in production for Season 3, while Season 2's been airing. Invincible doesn't always do that.
Yeah.
They take way too, they don't do that, from what I've heard, at least. So I'm a little less worried about the X-Men 97. Plus, Disney money is stronger than even Amazon money. Yeah. At least when it comes to shows and stuff. So
yeah.
I will say, though, I am now worried for Season 3. Very worried for Season 3.
We'll see what they cook up in the writer's room.
Yeah, but that has been House of the Dragon season finale and X-Men 97 season finale. We will most likely be posting a second episode on Monday talking about D23. It will either go up on Monday or Tuesday. We're not 100% sure.
Probably,
but
we don't know.
It will be talking about End of Oak Street and the D23 news. I don't know what the week after that is, admittedly, because my phone's over there charging. Yeah. But that will be the next thing that gets posted, and then the week after. Oh, I do remember, Lanterns will be starting. Lanterns will always be delayed, just like House of the Dragon, because that's what happens when shows go up on Sundays. And The Magical Faraway Tree starring Andrew Garfield. That will be next week.
Excited.
Yep. But this has been another episode of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast, the only podcast on the internet where you two favorite Nimrods talk all things nerdy. You can find us on all podcast hosting platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, anywhere you can listen to or watch your podcast. We are there. You can find us on all social media platforms at Nerdy Nimrods Podcast to get all your favorite podcast clip moments. You can also follow us on at Nerdy Nimrods on all social media platforms. We have not posted short form content in there for a while, but I've said once we get in person and once I get settled in, which should hopefully be by next week-ish, I will start making short form content again. I'm very excited to get back to it. So follow us there. Get excited for that. Drop a like, drop a follow, drop a comment. This is a new era of the Nerdy Nimrods podcast. We're going to be doing a lot more new, interesting things that we have not done before. So keep an eye out. Get excited. And as always, stay nerdy.